give me a little bit of definition of what you mean by workforce management.
Okay, so workforce management, for example, in telecommunications, is used to analyse the amount of traffic that is coming into contact centres, and they use those kind of systems to try to see, based on historical data, to see the kind of level of call volumes they've had, and use that to try to predict what may happen at different times, different seasons, for future time periods. And they use that to make decisions on the kind of staffing or skills that they may need to plan for in advance.
Yeah, so first of all, CDM gives everybody an idea of what's happening. Information is collected over a period of time, and we have an integrated operation planning team that then looks basically across the business along with our resource management system, RMS, which deploys security folks, for example, which is probably about the biggest amount of human resources. And then they're able to determine what's the best place, when's the best time to deploy people. Now this is done through, today a lot of it is pen and paper, Excel spreadsheets, and with the RMS system. What we're doing with CDM is we are now linking that into a predictive analytics platform that can then collate this information much faster, more efficiently, so that then we can determine when something occurs, where's the best place to do it. And when we know things are going to occur, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 days out, where we can make a big difference, it can.
Okay, thanks very much. Patrick, I suspect that the microphone might be better utilised over here, if that's all right with you. But there was another question just here, wasn't there? Yeah? Gentleman here.
Yes, a quick question on the automated bag drop. A point that struck me was that customs people will always tell you that they rely a lot on body language to see who the criminals are. And I wondered if there's a security aspect here. If you automate the bag drop, do you lose the human interface that says there's something wrong with that bag?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, because don't forget, when it comes to dropping a bag at the moment, in terms of there being a problem with the bag itself, that's never going to be something which the member of staff would be able to determine at the bag drop desk. That's something which is scanned in the back-end baggage handling system. There's a whole bunch of X-ray systems that actually scan the bag. I mean, in terms of the body language, so we're not talking about staff completely disappearing from these operations. There's still a member of staff walking around. I mean, to give that Qantas example, they've got 6 bag drops to 1 member of staff, and then, you know, that member of staff is still there looking around, seeing what's going on. So it's not a case of completely abandoning us, the passenger, to these processes. It's always going to be a process of staff assisting and looking out and seeing what's going on.
Right. And the related question on that is people coming from a myriad of different countries. How do you give them instructions in their language?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a good question. So, in fact, for the trial, we had 5 languages supported on the bag drop. And, you know, you focus on the languages that are most frequently required in the environment, so at Heathrow. But, you know, don't forget, this is early days for this technology. There's the trials that are happening. But, you know, another consideration is that as each airline comes on board, they're going to say, well, we need these languages covered. So it's going to be automatically and logically addressed as each airline is introduced.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Question?
I have a question for Richard. Do you get ideas for innovation, obviously, from passengers? And if so, how?
Yeah, not directly. I mean, we showed the blog post we do, and obviously anybody can comment on that. But we don't tend to. We tend to get from our staff, our partner organisations, and people working at the airport, because we're very much focused on the business challenges. Now, those business challenges tend to be wrapped up in how we're operating to provide passenger experience. But it's certainly something that we don't discount. And we have had some, hence the treasure hunt. But more came through our own commercial team. We've done the research, and they can paint a picture of which segments are and aren't being served, and how they're feeling, and the ASQ scores is how we measure ourselves. So we take our data second hand, really. They don't let me near.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? I'm looking particularly for one relating to Andrew and his designing experience. Not that I'm trying to sort of even flow the questions, but tell me yours.
Yeah, I'm thinking about some of these systems must be pretty mission critical in the sense that if they don't work, bad things will happen. Could you say a few words about, I was thinking about the ACDM system. What sort of availability SLAs are you working to on those things? And what approach do you take to disaster recovery? Do you have a paper-based system or manual system of any sort, or what?
Andrew?
Is that the microphone switched on?
I'll keep trying.
So yes, absolutely. So we call these systems, one gentleman referred to it in the APOC Idaho, which provides a lot of information, basically the flight schedule, what's happening to ACDM in terms of that flight, and ACDM then enriches that. ACDM, those type of systems are called P1 systems, and they need to run at about a 99.5. So we keep them about 99.5. We actually have the ability, with some newer technology, to move that slightly up. We also back that up by what's called standard operating procedures. All those procedures are procedures that allow us to do things paper-based, with or without communication systems. There's all sorts of redundancy checks. And we also have a team, a gentleman named Jim, is it Hurt? Jim Hurt. Yeah, Jim Hurt, who runs the airport's kind of overall airport resilience and continuity aspect, which is tightly linked also to security. So we absolutely have systems that run at 99+%, but these things don't always work. And it's not the system that usually fails, it's the information that's feeding the system that typically fails, because we take information from many, many sources. It can come in from our air traffic control, come from airlines. Not all those systems are always running, feeding us information. So what happens is typically that our systems cannot give the full picture. And then when they do come online, they give us too much information and we have to catch up. So yes, we do run in that one nice little tidbit of information that allows us to flex and test. People think, well, what can we test? Well, much like what we do with our surface access or our runways, we do things at night. So from about 2 a.m. to about 5 in the morning, gives us a little bit of breather. There's not any flights allowed. So that gives us the ability to test and make sure that we can try the manual processes.
Okay, great. Another question? Lady here?
Okay, well, thank you, gentlemen. I'm absolutely amazed at the enthusiasm that you have for what you're doing. So thank you. I'm looking forward to going to Heathrow again with new insights. So, as a result of that, I'm very interested in the way you bring innovation up and do that quick turnaround. So could you explain a little bit about what to me seems to be advanced agile development that goes on there? And the second question is, if you're doing these bite-sized things, at some point, how do you, between you all, on both the software and on the hardware, make sure that any new piece does not actually cause a problem further down the pipe?
Sure. Okay, challenging question from Sue there.
Okay, in particular with regards to the app development, we've been very fortunate with Capgemini in the fact that they've been able to deliver us a mobile app development team that operates almost completely polar opposite to the waterfall approaches that you'll see through other pieces. So we didn't try and presume that we were agile specialists ourselves as an organisation. So we went and tried to find a set of resources, and these guys were benchmarked against other more traditional app development, single app development companies within the community. And what we tried to do was let them teach us what we needed to learn about agile development. These guys have been doing it before, putting an app in an app store, and whether it be enterprise or within a public app store, has been done. It's been done millions and millions of times. So what we tried to do is make sure that we didn't try and invent something ourselves that we didn't do. With regards to how do we make sure it doesn't break, I think that sort of comes back to my deliberate side. At the moment, we're not aware of all of the business-led IT that goes on. We've got some strong relationships with the key departments. But we're trying to deliberately pick the opportunities that fundamentally work within their own isolation, or can be developed on platforms that are designed to be to develop multiple things that are not necessarily independent of each other. And that's where we certainly found some value in Salesforce as an IT department, where we can silo things off and we can break things down into subcomponents so they're isolated away from each other.
So I can't audit you, all of you. Sounds really exciting.
A nice Sarko-oriented answer there.
Yeah.
Great. We've got time for a couple more questions and then we'll wind up the formal part. Over to you.
Thinking about experiences going through airports, the one that I think is most irritating to myself is the queuing up for the search of the bags. Have you got any innovations that are coming in that area?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how can I answer this? So that's predominantly where most of our staff are, basically, in doing the security search, and the rigours of the security search aren't set by us; they're set by policy here in down the road in government, and also across policies across the international boundaries. A lot of the technology we're looking at doing is to either make that queuing experience more, how can I put this? I'll say enjoyable, it's more of the Disney approach. If you know how long it's going to take, you're a lot more accepting of that process. So providing tools, whether that be big screens, to say the average queue times at the moment are 6 minutes, or provide a more personalised one to yourself so you know how long you're going to be in there. So there's elements of that. There are elements that we're able to provide better information to our security officer team leaders who decide how many of those lanes actually should be open. So we're looking at various technologies now. We talked a bit about crowd vision earlier, where it looked at the check-in area and it was able to build a sort of a pattern on how busy that was. Now, it might surprise you that actually the airlines, though we have a very good relationship with the airlines, we don't have a huge amount of information about passengers. In fact, we don't even know who's turning up on any given day. The only reason we know what sort of numbers to expect is we look back at last year and go, yeah, it was probably going to be about that. Have we changed the airline mix? No, not too badly. Have we got some sort of... Yes, okay, so that gives us an idea on the sort of figures. And also looking at the sort of planes they're bringing in. And that's one of the big changes we're seeing at the moment. Obviously, the more that we move across to 380s, the more we're thinking, well, that's going to be a bit more passengers. So what we're doing is using things like crowd dynamics to say, actually, I can see there are more people in check-in at the moment, therefore in about 10 minutes' time, we're going to have an influx going through the security lanes that you're talking about, and therefore we should look to open up more lanes, get more staff off of the brakes, get them back in there. Or vice versa, it's a complete waste if we have all our lanes manned and there's no one going through. So actually, we can see, we can confidence, we've got sensors that basically tell us how many people are turning up off the HEX, off the Heathrow Express. We can see in checking, we've got a good view at the moment. We can see the car parks. You're going to be light for the next 30 minutes. Why don't you stand down some teams, take them onto brakes? So our innovations are more tailored around being able to operate that more effectively, and also to provide more information to the passenger.
Okay, just one quick point to that. One of the things we're trying to focus on with the CAA is actually not the amount of money that we invest in measuring the queue, and what we can do to actually invest that money in staff and technology to reduce the time that's queuing. So we're actually trying to encourage the government to allow us to employ more security officers and to put more equipment into the lanes to actually minimise the queue rather than meeting a number of regulatory queue measurement requirements that were previously in place.
Just not a good one. It wasn't technology. So one of the biggest things we've done just recently into T1, sounds a bit strange because it's going to be closing down soon, but double loading of bags basically. So as you come into the where you drop your bag off, actually we have 2 feet mark on the ground, another 2 over here, and 2 people loading at the same time creates 30% efficiency in that lane. The reason I point it out is the fact that not all solutions involve technology, and that's a really classic
So it is near and dear to all of our hearts. I think at the end of the day, too, is by capturing more information. We've got a number of groups that we work together with the airlines. The IT working group, which we talked about for funding, what's going on in the airport, that people collaborate with, but also the data community group. So that's also about passing more information, such as passenger information. And the other thing that's really interesting is behavior. So we're also looking at that, and we actually sitting in the APOC now, you can go into the APOC and you can see that's going to be a problem because that queue over here closed. You start to anticipate, and that's just people calculating this. So linking to the question about resource management earlier, we are capturing more data, we're putting in more predictive tools, not just people guessing, to allow us then to say, what do people normally do? And if they see a big lineup, typically people don't just go to the short lineup, they will go to the long lineup thinking that's the one that works. So we're trying to move this all around, people and behaviors, and then take that. And we're not the only airport, there's lots of airports looking at people behavior, factoring that in. It could be a low-fi solution or even a high-fi solution.
Great.
No.
Well, we've moved on nicely to queuing and people behaviours, and I'm just reminded of the promise I made about winding this up by 8:30. So I know there are some other questions available, but let's make those informal questions. Let's wrap up this formal session now, and then move on to the next part, if that's all right. Okay, firstly, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think we've had some great information from these four guys. So please join in thanking them. Okay. And in our usual fashion, we're giving them a selection of books, carefully selected books, of course, from the BCS library. So, and they're all holding it the right way up, so that's a good sign as well. So, just to let you in on the secret, we've decided these guys, for our sakes, really need to be more agile. So you'll find a large preponderance of agile foundation books there, chaps, which I hope you enjoy and I hope you all benefit from. In terms of benefiting, there's something else which you've got on your seats, or will have seen, and that's the information for the next NLB event. Can you see that one? Next month. And it's about making the right solution. Well, that is actually about off-the-shelf software, which of course we're all past masters of. We choose something, a packaged solution that more or less works. Anything that doesn't, we write something custom to fit and so on. And then we often suffer for years afterwards. Because, as we all know, I hope, there is quite a process behind this and some skill in choosing the right software. We've got an expert in just that next month, and he's written a BCS book, which has just been published, on package selection process. I've heard him already, and he's very good. So I encourage you, do sign up, do come next month, do come and join us at that event. Now, the only other thing, well, please join me in thanking the NLB team who's put this together, who are currently clustered around. No, they're already eating the food. Quick, give a quick clap to the NLB team.